if you think that Mo Touré's spot could be challenged by Sapsford playing in Dundee United, but we don't have to talk about anything. We can talk about whatever you like, really. We're just going to do another 20 minutes of live here. Whilst we're waiting, let's talk about whatever we like. Oh, by the way, you actually can speak to us directly about anything that you really like. 0433 551 371, and you can talk about absolutely anything that you want. You can talk about the A-League, you can talk about football, you can talk about the Iran war, you can talk about how your day is going. It's your space. So why am I wearing the Santa de Muerte mask? I do when I feel nervous, and it gives me a lot of courage. Who would have thought that a smartphone would have made all the difference? But let's go and have some fun with that. So I am doing this off the cuff, but once again, you are able to call directly and have your voice heard. 0433 551 371. Don't forget to like and follow for more. The internet is choppy, to say the least, which really means that nobody could be watching this stream right now. If you are watching the stream, can you press like so I know you're actually here? Because I don't think people are. You know what? I'm going to. Oh my lord! Oh, I didn't know they could do that. Ah, everybody's joining. A huge supporter just joined. Isn't that nice? Thank you so much for joining. Ah, there we go. Okay, so let's go. Iran war live updates. Iran vows to fight U.S. Navy in Hormuz. Blockade to start at midnight. This was ABC News saying, so they don't really give you the best info. But let's continue. U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. Navy will commence a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. In a post on X, U.S. Central Command said it would start a blockade of all maritime traffic entering and exiting Iranian ports at midnight tonight, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well, the U.S. might do that, but they're not going to, because they would stop 20% of the world's oil flow going into Singapore, Australia, South Korea, Japan, and where else? China. So they can try to do that as well, but there's just no physical way that they can physically stop this the Strait of Hormuz, or limit Iran's ability to control the Strait of Hormuz without attacking their allies, or the allies of somebody else. But let me know what you think. If you think that the US is actually in control, or is rather just being pushed into a war by some other external force. In a post on X, U.S. Central Command said it would start a blockade of all maritime traffic entering and exiting Iranian ports at midnight, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Here's the latest by Lewis Wiseman. This is what we need to know this morning. Donald Trump has ordered the U.S. Navy to blockade the Strait of Hormuz after weekend ceasefire talks failed. It was always going to fail. This war is going to be going for a long time, guys. There was talk of a ceasefire that was meant to happen with the U.S. This didn't happen, primarily because there wasn't a cease of fire. And what ended up happening was that Lebanon was bombed. Lebanon was bombed, which was a big part of the ceasefire agreement that was organized by Pakistan. So instead, the war continues. To Iran's benefit, there's even reports that Iran, by tolling the Strait of Hormuz, could get around $90 billion a year. Keep in mind right now that Panama Canal in the US, they get around $9 billion a year. So they're going to be incredibly wealthy through this. I've made a joke of it, but I think that the greatest Ayatollah of Iran, or the greatest Ayatollah Iran has ever had, has been President Trump. So let me know what you think. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says the waterway remains under its control and has warned the U.S. military not to make a move. U.S. expert says the price of Brent crude oil is likely to rise again when the blockade starts. On a visit to southern Lebanon, Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu says that his forces had ended the threat of an invasion by Hezbollah. Lebanon's PM says his government is committed to ending the war through negotiations, something Hezbollah supporters have protested about. Well, and unfortunately, that's just where it is. And like the stream, like and follow for more if you really are concerned about this sort of stuff. I'm meant to talk to you about sport, about the Wanderers, about Spurs, about Chelsea. I'm meant to talk to you about everything, really, but the internet connection is really unstable. I don't even know if anybody can hear me right now. If you can hear me, please like the stream, follow stream to let me know that you're there. You don't have to if you don't want to, but ultimately, I'd love to know. Oh, thanks, Chelsea. So you can hear me. Great. Who am I? So my name's Jeremy. I'm part of 56ers, and we just do streaming for news. It's meant to be sport, believe it or not. I'm meant to talk about sport. However, nothing's working. I don't have the internet here, except for the live, which is funnily enough. So instead, what am I doing? I'm being a bit controversial. I'm reading the ABC news about this war in the Middle East that will affect Australia. We only have 2 of the 7 refineries we used to have in the last 4 years. Fun fact as well, in Australia, we in the 1980s had 20,000 farmers. In Australia, we now have 2,000. Actually, I might be wrong. I think it might be 10,000. In any case, there's been a tremendous loss in farming, as well as refinery. We are deindustrializing to our detriment. We can see that with the price of oil. This is not a good thing. Hit the like, hit the follow if you agree, and if not, let me know if I'm wrong. I mean, I watch the news a lot. So maybe what I'm being told is wrong, but I just think that this war in Iran is so terrible, and the average person, regardless of their race, their creed, their nationality, is all going to be affected by this absolutely brutal war. But I'd love to know what you think. 0433551371. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this terrible conflict that's going on right now. Okay, so I finally got the script. Let me know if you want to hear more about sports, or I can talk to you about this conflict going on in Iran, which is absolutely terrible, and how it's not going to stop anytime soon. That is the biggest thing I wanted to say as well with everything going on, is that they're saying this war is going to be over 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They originally said it would be over in 2 days. It's probably going to go on for the next 6 months. We are very much in a 70s style economy. For those who know, high oil prices, stagflation, terrible cost of living. I think inflation could probably jump to a level that we don't really expect. So it's not good. It's not good, and I wish everyone here happiness, prosperity, and goodwill. But we are not in a good position. To go back to 2015 would very much be a luxury. So let me know what you think. If maybe I'm crazy, am I a doomsday sayer, or is this war in the Middle East going to be affecting us? An update on fuel supplies across the states and territories. This is through ABC News by Hanan Dervisevich. Across the country, here's how fuel supply is looking. New South Wales, 109 service stations without diesel and 16 with no fuel at all. Victoria, 34 without diesel, 17 with no unleaded. Queensland, 36 with no diesel and 20 with no unleaded. South Australia, 4 with no diesel and 17 with no unleaded. Western Australia, 7 with no diesel, 17 with no unleaded. Tasmania, 10 with no diesel and 4 with no unleaded. Pardon me for just a moment. Stop making it go. I do apologize, everybody. You got kids, and they're staying at home today. You know what it's like. But yeah, so Tasmania, 10 with no diesel and 4 with no unleaded. Northern Territory, 4 with no diesel, Australian Capital Territory 1 without diesel. So we're not really in a good position right now. And once again, I'd just love to know what you think. You can talk on the comment chat, like and comment. Otherwise, feel free to just call me directly. I'd love to know what you think. 0433 551 371. We can talk about football. We can talk about politics, whatever you like. Finance. There's talk that they're going to raise interest rates, and they most definitely will. I'm not a financial expert. Don't take my financial advice. I'm not providing financial advice. However, it is very, very, very likely they're going to raise interest rates even further because of energy prices, because of this terrible war that is not going to be stopping anytime soon. We are in a world war. Unfortunately, I apologize to say. Energy Minister Chris Bowen said there were 57 ships en route to Australia with various types of fuel, crude oil, jet fuel, diesel, and petrol. That's about standard for this time of year as what we would expect, he said. Also, over the next 4 weeks, we have 4.1 billion litres of fuel locked in and contracted by Australian companies. That fuel now belongs to them. It is their legal right to have that fuel, and it is locked in to be delivered to Australia. So that's what they're saying. However, we would have done better if we had kept our refineries. We've had large-scale deindustrialization since about the 80s, the arms factory in Lithgow, the refineries, we used to grow our own, we used to process our own wool as well. All that is gone away, and we're suffering for it. Australia has 31 days of diesel supply, once again by Hanan Dervisevich. Energy Minister Chris Bowen is providing an update on fuel. Now, keep in mind that the government is lying to us. I don't say Labour or Liberal. Universally, the ruling class has lied to us. Case in point, they were trying to cover up this story, but we don't have the fuel, and that is going to affect us, not just at the pump. It's going to affect us in the grocery store as well. We're going to pay more for mince. We're going to pay more for steak, which is horrifying because it's not like we don't have the cattle or the wheat or the corn or the potatoes or anything that we need. The problem is energy. And when you have 30 years of this climate change agenda affecting us, that's going to have an effect on our bank balance. Ironically enough, and this is something I've said for a long time, ironically enough, you'll notice they're not talking about climate change anymore. And why is that? Because Peter Thiel and the technocrats have had a gigantic push for artificial intelligence, which requires tremendous amounts of energy. And we can't have tremendous amounts of energy if we're pushing the climate change agenda. So now climate change agenda isn't a big thing anymore because we now have AI and there are tremendous energy requirements. Hit the like and the follow if you're getting over it, if you're getting absolutely over it. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Arsenal are top of the Premier League on 70 points after 31 matches, with Manchester City second on 61 from 30. And so the title race is still alive because City have a game in hand. Manchester United are third, Aston Villa are fourth, Liverpool fifth, and Chelsea sixth. At the bottom, Burnley and Wolves look in huge trouble. I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed they're relegated, and Tottenham are now inside the relegation zone after losing at Sunderland. Let me know if you follow the EPL. You can even talk politics if you like. 0433 551 371, and we can hear what you have to say. In the A-League men, Newcastle Jets lead the ladder after 24 games on 44 points. Wait a second, is that right? Is it? It can't be Newcastle Jets, is it? Newcastle Jets. My brain is just not working. I thought it was Sydney FC. Then Sydney FC and Adelaide United on 37, Melbourne Victory on 36, and Melbourne City on 35. Macarthur are 7th on 31st, just outside that top 6 final zone. Recent rounds 24 results include Sydney beating Western Sydney 2-0, Newcastle beating Adelaide, Auckland drawing 2-2 with Melbourne Victory, and Melbourne City beating Wellington 2-0. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. It's been a good day for the A-League. Not a good time for the Wanderers, who are absolutely in terrible form. What's going on with the Wanderers? I wanted to know what you think, because it really does seem like the Wanderers are just going from bad to worse. They should not be sitting at the bottom of the league, and yet here they are. The best fan base in the league, the Wanderers, in my opinion, and yet here they are struggling at the bottom. Is it board decisions? Is it the wrong players? Jai Rose, a tremendous talent, and yet they're sitting bottom of the league. And I'd really love to hear what you have to say about this. 0433 551 371. And we can hear what you have to say. Don't forget to like and follow the live as well. That would be very much appreciated. So we continue on with that. Okay, good evening and welcome back. We've got a proper title race in England on our hands, a survival scrap that is getting uglier by the week, and in Australia, the A-League finals pictures is tightening up at exactly the right moment. I will start in the Premier League. Arsenal are still top of the table. They've got 70 points from 31 matches, and on paper, they remain in control. But the pressure is building because Manchester City are right there on 61 points from 30 games, and that game in hand changes the entire feel of the race. Arsenal leading, yes, but City have given themselves a real chance to turn this into one of those classic late season hunts. What is going on with Arsenal right now? Best team in the league by far. Gyökeres, Odegaard, Martinelli, Madueke, Declan Rice. I think he's the best midfielder of the season. Declan Rice, what's going on? And yet they're struggling. Gabriel and Saliba, and they have Zubamendi. And yet look how they play. Look at where they are and how they're bottling this league. 3 defeats in a row, I think. They lost the league final. They lost the Carabao Cup. They lost the FA Cup, pardon me, and now they're going to they've just lost their last match. What's going on? I'd love to know what you think about this because it just seems Arsenal are in terrible form. Terrible, absolutely terrible form. And you can let me know about it. Please don't forget to like and follow the stream. It really does help. That's because City just went away to Chelsea and won 3-0. Big result, big statement. The kind of result that tells the rest of the league, we're here, we're calm, and we know exactly how to handle April. Arsenal slipped up, City pounced, and suddenly the psychological edge feels like it may be swinging again. Behind them, Manchester United sit third, Aston Villa are fourth, Liverpool are fifth, and Chelsea are sixth. So there is still serious scrap going on for the Champions League places as well. This is not just about the title. There is pressure all over the table. Now to the bottom, and this is where it gets wild. Burnley are in massive trouble. Wolves are in massive trouble. I disagree with that. I don't think they're in trouble. It's pretty much a forlorn confusion. It's like saying after the battle in the bar, after you're covered in bruises, well, we're in trouble. You were in trouble. You're already the fight's over. But that doesn't mean that Wolves are out of it. You can just see them get some tremendous victories against Spurs, they won against Liverpool, I believe, or they might have drawn against Liverpool, but they're still there. Wolves are always going to be there. They're a tremendously powerful team. Tottenham Hotspur sitting in the relegation zone, unbelievably are in the relegation zone. They lost 1-0 to Sunderland, which I don't think surprised anyone, and they've gone 14 league games without a win. And what was once a bad season is now turning into a full-scale crisis. That is not an exaggeration. That is where we are. West Ham have given themselves life with that 4-0 win over Wolves. Forest have picked up a point against Villa. Leeds are still in the fight, and now every single match at the bottom feels like it could decide someone's future. The Premier League has finally gotten to the brutal stage. This is really where boys become men, if you want to turn a phrase. Let me know what you think. Like the stream, follow the stream, comment, or feel free to call directly on 0433 551 371. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Now to a word from our fake sponsors. But before we do that, just know these are not actual sponsors. I just like to do it because it keeps thinking, hey, Mikey, how you doing? We'll do it very shortly. So the Premier League story right now is simple. At the top, Arsenal are trying to hold their nerve while City load up another chase. In the middle, the European spots are still being fought over. And at the bottom, clubs like Spurs, Burnley, and Wolves are staring at disaster. I think Burnley and Wolves aren't in trouble. I don't think that they are. I think Spurs are in trouble, but not Burnley and Wolves. Let's continue. Now let's bring it home and talk about A-League men. Newcastle Jets are top of the ladder after 24 games with 44 points. Auckland FC are second on 41. Sydney FC and Adelaide United are both on 37. Melbourne Victory are are on 36 and Melbourne City are on 35. That means the top six is taking shape, but is absolutely not locked in yet. And for people watching in Sydney and Southwest Sydney, Macarthur sits seventh on 31 points, so they're still right there. But they've got work to do if they want to break into the final positions. They are close enough to matter, but not comfortable enough to relax. Let me know what you think. Do you follow? Would you care more about following politics, or would you like to follow sports? I'd love to know what you think. Um, In England, the title race is still alive, the relegation battle is savage, and Tottenham are in serious danger. In Australia, Newcastle lead the way, Auckland are chasing, Sydney are pushing, and the finals race is getting tighter every week. And that's what makes this stage of the season so good. Every point matters, every slip hurts, every win suddenly feels twice as important. Let me know in the comments who wins the Premier League from here, Arsenal or City? And in the A-League, who are you backing to make the strongest run into the finals? Or even on the opposite side, let me know what you think about the Wanderers. I want to know what's going on with them. It just absolutely blows my mind what's going on. Absolutely blows my mind. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Did you hear that? That's the sound of the weekend arriving early. It doesn't matter if the scoreboard is leaning the right way or the wrong way, or if the traffic on the M1 was a nightmare. Right now, the only stats that matter are 40 degrees and 0 worries. That's a Southside Gold, brewed for the people who actually put in the work. It's hot. I must put on the mask. It's crisp, it's cold, and it doesn't ask for much, just a bit of your time. Southside Gold. Clear your head and fill your glass. Let me know if you want me to do more ads. Are you tired of losing? Tired of your hairline being a total disaster? We're talking about a low energy look that is quite frankly, a disgrace. Don't let the wind win. It's time to secure the border of your forehead. Introducing the Executive Topper. We use only the finest, most luxurious golden fibers. People come to us all the time. Big guys, strong guys, very big energy, lots of energy. Lots of power, unlike Chuck Schumer, who's very low energy, doesn't have the energy. I know it. He mentioned me. I was against the Water Rock. Anyway, fine. We cheers and rise, and they say, "Sir, how is the volume even possible?" It's because we have the best weavers, truly spectacular people. I mean, we are weavers. We are winners. You can't spell winners without weavers. They both have a W. George W. Bush was against the war in Iraq. I was against the war. George W. Bush was not against the war. He invaded the war. I didn't. I'm against the war in Iraq. You're not. It's wind resilient, it's rarely tested, it's a total landscape of style. While the fake news tries to tell you it's moving, you know it's staying exactly where it belongs. Because that's when it comes to your head, second place is just the first loser. Make your mirror great again. I actually don't have a wig. I actually shave my hair. Let me know if you prefer to shave your head or let your hair grow out, because um, I like to keep my hair short. I do. I like to keep my hair short and have a skin fade. Hit the like if you also like to keep your hair short, or let me know what you think. You can call directly on 0433 and we can hear exactly what you think. You can talk about sport, you can talk about politics, you can talk about finance, you can talk about makeup, whatever you really do like and whatever hits your fancy. Back on to politics. Trump attacks Pope Leo over Iran, also done by Hanan Derishevich. US President Donald Trump has launched an attack on Pope Leo the 14th in a post on Truth Social, claiming he is weak on crime. In a lengthy post, Trump wrote that the Pope is terrible for foreign policy. I don't want a Pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Speaking with reports at a joint airbase Andrews after his social media post, he added, "I don't think he's doing a very good job. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo." Last week, Pope Leo criticized Trump's threat that a whole civilization will die tonight unless Iran agreed to a deal to end the war. He's described it as truly unacceptable. And I have to really say that people don't know this, but Iran's winning the war. Iran is absolutely winning the war. That there is no doubt. They control the Strait of Hormuz. They have more power. They're charging tolls for the Strait of Hormuz now. They weren't. There's a report that comes out that based on the $1 million a freight that they could bring in excess of $90 billion a year, which is absolutely insane. So they're just going to be incredibly wealthy, absolutely incredibly wealthy. And I'd love to know what you think. Is America winning this war? Is Australia doing better because of this war, or are we actually doing far worse? Let me know what you think. Albanese wants Iran, US to head back to the negotiating table. Anthony Albanese asked about US President Donald Trump's plan to blockade the Strait of Hormuz. The Prime Minister has repeated much of what he said this morning during his media rounds. The government wants to keep the strait open, and he's disappointed that there has been a lack of resolution in negotiations. We want to see de-escalation, and we want to see these negotiations resume. Hit the like if you want the war to end. I know I do. $2.70 a liter. Now it's $2.20, and people act like it's a tremendous victory. It's a tremendous injury to the Australian people to pay $2.20 a liter. That's going to affect the price of our meat, our food, our plants, everything. It's going to affect our electricity. It's going to affect our internet, our housing prices as well, where builders are already saying that energy prices are pushing the prices up. It's going to affect interest rates. We could actually have stagflation in the next 14 months because of this terrible war in the Middle East. And it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. Iran is in a strong position, and America will most likely have to accept a Jimmy Carter level humiliation of a ceasefire. Not good. Not good. So let me know what you think. You can actually call directly. I'd love to know what you think about the war in Iran or football. Those are the things of the day. 0433 551 371. And I'll get my phone directly. I can hear you talk. I'd love to hear what you think about that. ICYMI. Trump plays down the need for peace deal with Iran. Speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews, U.S. President Donald Trump says he doesn't care whether Iran comes back to the negotiating table. I mean, here's where we are, guys. Here's where we are. I'll continue with the same story. Teleprompter script. Good evening. I'm telling you right now, this Premier League season is starting to smell like one of those classics, the kind where nerves win it, not just quality. And I'll stop right there for a second because it's very clear that the Premier League is not the regular Premier League, that it's long throws, it's pragmatic football. It's a very odd Premier League where things are a little bit more stop-start, which has benefited the middle of the table more, who are not going to play swashbuckling football. Let's start at the top. Arsenal FC are still leading the league. They've done the hard part to put themselves in positions. But here's the problem. Manchester City are lurking. Game in hand, momentum building, and that quiet, cold confidence that we've seen before. You know the script. April comes, City don't blink, and suddenly that gap gone. So the question isn't, can Arsenal win it? The question is, can they handle the pressure when City start breathing down their neck? Because we've seen this film before, and Arsenal fans don't like how it ends. Do not hit the like if you're an Arsenal fan. It's time for you to leave. Now, just below them, Manchester City, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Liverpool FC, and Chelsea FC. This is a war for Champions League football. One bad week, you drop 2 spots. One big win, and you're suddenly back at it. Nobody is safe. We'll end the stream there, guys. But thanks for joining, and tune in for more.